Hey there, guys. Thanks for joining me on episode 7 of my week in review. It's where I go over everything I did in the world of hobby gaming, whether it be miniature gaming, board gaming, card gaming, or painting, or conventions, or whatever is going on. I'll give you a little update of what I did. To start off with, I played some miniature games with a couple of my mates. First one was with my mate Swampy. He works very unusual hours. He's a baker or pastry chef, and he only has certain days off. So when he was available on Wednesday, we had a game of Kings of War from Mantic Games. I'm really loving Kings of War at the moment. It's really easy, fast, fun mass battle miniature combat game, which I really enjoy. So is the other guys that I've been showing it to, and Swampy's he's a big fantasy guy, so he really enjoys it as well. We played a really wacky scenario where basically the orcs were trying to loot this farmhouse with all the cattle and the sheep and things like that. So that was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. I re-recorded that, and I'll be loading that up on Battle Knights, my miniature YouTube channel, in the following days rather. After that, on Saturday, Molo turned up, and we played a game of Bolt Action. Bolt Action is one of my favorite miniature games. It's from Warlord Games. I just really love the way the mechanics work of the dice pulling and the interesting options you have. We played once before in the escalation campaign where Smolo beat me with a sneaky maneuver. He plays the Japanese, I was playing the Americans. So this game we were playing the maximum attrition scenario, where you get victory points for wiping out units. Really tough against the Japanese to play this scenario. I recorded this one as well, and that'll go up on Battle Knights this week. So you can go check that out. It was a really fun, interesting game. I'm not going to say who won, just to give you no spoilers. After that, Tony and Martin came around. While Martin was reading the King's Forge rules, which I'll get to in a minute, we played Chosen, one of Molo's card games. I've been playing a version of it called Choreo for the last couple of weeks. And this is sort of like a second edition, if you like. It has slightly tweaked theme, and has a few more cards added in, a couple of variants, and it gives you a little more interaction, if you like. Ironically, I think I prefer Choreo, the first version. It's a little simpler and a little easier, and for this type of game where you just literally want to just bang it out and have a quick go, I liked it. This one is not bad as well. I didn't mind it. I think I prefer the other one. Although both Tony and Molo, I think, preferred this one. So let's see how that goes. After that, we played King's Forge, which I thought was interesting. I've been wanting to try this out for a while. I can't remember who makes this. But it's a dice placement game where you're basically a blacksmith, and you're trying to make some equipment and items and stuff for the king. Really interesting game, really interesting mechanics where you're trying to basically build your dice pool of the different materials. So, like, for instance, the black dice are iron, the red dice are gems, the blue dice are magic, and that sort of thing. And then you basically spend your dice to get more dice, and then at some point during the end of the turn, you can save some dice to try and craft some items, which is basically you roll, and then you have to roll higher than the item's value, that sort of thing. I thought it was a really interesting game, actually. I think it's a really interesting theme. I like the idea of the sort of manipulation of the cards to try and get more dice, and then a bit of a luck element to try and roll high on your dice. And you obviously have some mitigation elements as well, like things that flip the dice or add +1 to the dice, that sort of thing. So really good. I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to playing this again, because there's a little bit of variability in how the cards come out as well. So that was really good. I want to try that again for sure. Then we played Quadropolis from Days of Wonder. We filmed this, and this has been put up already on Gaming Nights. I really enjoyed this, actually. It's a city building game, which I like city building themes anyway. And it has a very similar nature to Five Tribes, which I really liked in the way, I don't know, it's not similar in theme or even mechanics even, but it just has something about it that reminds me of Five Tribes, you know, the way you think about your turn and the way you're choosing your options and things like that. So it was really good, really enjoyed it. I suppose I should mention I won both King's Forge and Quadropolis, so it was a good night for me in terms of gaming. We filmed this, as I said, and we put it up on Gaming Nights, and then after that we played another game of Shipwrights. We played this last week, and we were thinking of filming it last week, but it was sort of a little unclear on the rules, so we wanted to play through it a few more times. So we played it on Saturday night. It was me, Tony, and Martin who played it last week as well. But then Molo was the newcomer, swapping out with D, and it was all right. Yeah, it's a fun little game. I've recorded this and I said it on my final thoughts that I think there's a couple of things that I would have done differently if I was, say, designing this game. But I'm not a game designer, so it's hard for me to criticize something like that. It's just I didn't like the draft mechanic, and I wasn't keen on how long the game takes. I think because of the draft mechanic. But I still didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it. It's a fun little interesting game, and I like the idea that it fits slots in with the Ruin Saga thing. So you got three different types of games to play, and over the night, and you can form into a sort of a continuous campaign. I like that, so I'll definitely give that another go. On the Sunday, my family and I decided to play a couple of games with the boys. So they wanted to play Formula D. We played just the basic version, and really, really good. I think Carla and Alex both crashed out on the same turn. So me and Nathan just had a straight race to the end, and he beat me, of course, as I'm terrible at this game. At least I can say I finished the race. I think it was the first time in all the times I played Formula D that I actually finished the race. So I'm pretty happy with that. It was a good game, nice and fun, nice and easy and light for families. It's always a bonus when you play with your kids and stuff like that. And then of course we had to play Rise of Augustus again. I mentioned this last week in last week's episode that my little one really enjoys this game. It's like a Roman bingo. I don't know why, but he really enjoys this game. And so we played, the four of us played that again, and it was interesting. Everyone chose different strategies this time. I'm not really sure what Nathan's strategy was, but he did really well again. But I played out of my socks to try and win this, and I did. I got a nice high score of 73, and Nathan came second. And even though he beat his score from last time as well, where he absolutely smashed us, so that was really good. So that was the games I played this week. Not a ton of games, but still really good, solid week of gaming. If I had to choose my game of the week, I think it would definitely be Quadropolis. I really enjoyed that from Days of Wonder. Just like I said, I like city building themes. This is a nice, smooth, easy playing game. Really fun to get into. But there were some other good contenders as well. I thought King's Forge was interesting, and obviously both Kings of War and Bolt Action were really good games as well. So there you go. That's my games of the week. Now let's go move on to my painting side of things. So my painting commissions this week, or just projects in general, was interesting because I actually did quite a lot of painting, but I didn't actually finish a lot of projects. I got a lot of miniatures on my painting table that I just sort of base coated or washed or built or sprayed, or and I've been nitpicking at little things like I'll do a little bit of base coats, I'll do a little bit of washes, so I'm working on lots of projects at once. But what I did do was finish off another Imperial Assault commission, which was for the Return to Hoth and some of the character packs. Now this was actually really interesting to paint. It's probably also a little bit of a cheat because I finished this sort of early, Monday, Tuesday, and so when I put this video out, I just filled all in the miniatures as this week's project. So, but it was a really interesting project. I mean, because you got all the snowtroopers and you got the Yetis and you got the little tank thing, that are all very light colors like whites. I had looked online to see what other people were doing. How a lot of people just sort of sprayed it white and then added a detail of the gun or a shoulder pad or something like that. But I didn't want to do that. So you can't really tell from these pictures because I'm a terrible photographer. But I decided to make, like, say for example, the stormtroopers. I gave them different shades, so the fatigues, the cloaks and stuff like that are sort of a lightish grey, highlighted up to a sort of a duller white, and then you got the armor, which the plating and stuff like that, which are much more brighter white. But then I gave them a gloss as well, and that came out really nice. I think I really enjoyed the way they came out. The Yetis were also really interesting as well. I gave one a bloody mouth and hands and stuff to represent the veteran sort of miniature. I got more ideas to do Yetis in the future, so if I get some other opportunities to do more Yetis, I've got some other ideas that I want to try with them. And then I did some of the character packs, which was the general. He was really really easy to paint actually, because it was just grey fatigues and stuff like that. The characters were interesting. especially the little medical robot, because to make him stand out from, say, the assassin droids and other robots, I added in a few more colors and things like that. You know, some red wiring, things like that. Um, and then, of course, you had the, I don't even know what his name is, the calamari guy. He was really interesting. Dengar, the mercenary, he was less interesting, actually. He was probably the least interesting miniature to paint, in my opinion. I don't know why. I didn't find him all that interesting, especially the color scheme. So yeah, there's a couple of pictures of the overall, all the models I painted. Oh, I also did the Princess Leia. That was interesting. She's obviously done in the snow camo, like the snow troopers. So it was a fun project to do, and I really enjoyed doing it. I'm glad I did it because it also increases my skills in painting white and things like that. So there you go. That's my painting for the week. I'll have some more projects next week of some of the other stuff that I've been completing. But talking about next week, I don't actually have a lot of things that I'm going to be doing next week, based on the fact that it's coming towards the end of term for the boys at school. So we're going to be taking them to London, to the Science Museum and the Natural History Museum, and things like that. Just a little weekend out with the boys. So my gaming is going to be very limited next week, and probably my painting as well. But I'm going to try and get as much painting as done, and I've already got this week. I've met up with my Risk Legacy group, and we played a few games of that. So I'll be reporting on that next week. But I think it'll be a lot shorter episode next week, as I have a lot less to do to mention. But as usual, thanks for listening to this, guys, and thanks for supporting the channel. And I hope to see you guys in the future at some of the conventions and stuff. And thanks for watching.